Hi, hello. How is everyone in this very hot weather we're having? And I hope you're staying cool and feel good. And yeah, I'm done with this heat. I don't know about y'all, but I am done with this heat. I'm so glad to see Polly here because I have some exciting things to share with y'all. I've solved the ink issue. This is what my daughter did this week. This is my latest one. So I'm going to do a little bit more in depth on the lino print block because I am loving it. Loving it. So I'm so excited to be here to share with you. I've got a pretty full schedule of things. I've got to be honest. I'm a little obsessed by this mosaic. My poor rose quilt is sitting neglected. It's so close to being done. And that is the rose that we did on the canvas. So, anyway, hello. We had a nice hi, Mare. So Mare and Debbie, who's been having vertigo? Because I tell you what, I've got a little crystal that's loose. Mare, are you having vertigo? It's so frustrating because you go to stand up and then it's like, whoa, the room spins. So it's not fun. You're right. It's not fun. And I hope you feel much better. We are staying cool. You know that my Mark, he's extremely intelligent. Whoops. Oh, oh well, I fiddle with everything while I talk to you. When I first show up, I'm a little nervous, like make sure, I do things right. And so I dropped a paper clip. I was going to bend it back in shape. But let me take a deep breath because I seem to have started a little fast and I'm a little overstimulated. That comes from spending uh, over, oh gosh, most of the day. I'm talking about probably 10 hours on the mosaic quilt yesterday. And I think my eyes almost permanently crossed because dealing with that many, I am going to end up counting how many pieces of fabric is on this art quilt. But I can't wait to show it with you. So we see Marcia and Polly and Debbie and Mare. And I did get here a little early. So maybe I'll just kind of sit and chat and let people come in. But I have take Debbie. You'll be happy. Hello, Creative Monkey Mary. Love that new name. Hi, Cheryl. We are so glad to see you. This is wonderful. And Debbie said, "Oh, that is wonderful that you're getting the snail's trail. That's terrific." Well, this is what I was going to show you. Remember before on this purple coneflower quilt, remember I told you I was going to bead the coneflower tops? Well, I had 3 more down here, but I didn't like the way they looked. So I kind of went with more of a realistic beading, and I like this a lot, and it's faster because I'll show you a purple coneflower head and you'll see they have a little bit more space in them. So this is going to be the new shape, and I'm going to go ahead and make all of them. Now, one of them I'm going to make as a view from overhead, so it's going to be round. And that'll be curious because they kind of come out of it's kind of a fiber, what is it called? Fibonacci. It's that math formula thing, like a sunflower. and they tend to kind of poke out. But it's funny, when I'm working on this, I put all of my supplies in it like this and carry it around. So I thought I would show you that. And I'll show everybody again when I show them my mosaic quilt. So just wanted to say that we're still always thinking of the Ukraine. They are now going into the Crimea. So let's hope they boot Putin out of their country. And I will be so happy. My poor flag that's been hanging on the front porch for 4.5 years is so faded, but it's going to stay there until this stupid war is over. So cross fingers. But I hope you had a nice 4th of July. It didn't get too as hot as it was supposed to yesterday. We were thinking it would be maybe up to 104. And I think it might have nudged 100, but we have curtains drawn. Mark turned the temperature higher so the air conditioning wouldn't run as much. That always gives me a little heart palpitation, but I like my cool temperatures. I have always been a person who runs hot. You put stuff to carry around on in a tray shaped like a Christmas tree. I love that. Thanks for sharing that, because it lets us know a little bit more about you. It's funny how we have little habits and things. Mark says to me that I have piles of stuff everywhere. And not everywhere, where I sit. And I have about 3 quilts that are in progress up on the table where I sit most of the time. I have paper bead stuff. I have embroidery stuff. I mean, I have all of these things that I keep because I never know what mood I'm going to be in, what I'm going to feel like working on. And most of the stuff I don't touch, but it just makes me feel good to have it right there beside me. If I need it, it's there. So it's just a funny little quirky thing. You know, we all have our little quirks. Hi, Nebraska was very wet. Please send it this way, Marcia. Tell it to go, that Deb needs it in North Carolina. So your projects follow you all over the place. I'm very attached to my projects, you know. So I have all these containers or totes up there with all my projects in it. Are we doing Christmas in July? I hadn't thought of that, but I always say it's really good to start any Christmas gifts that you're going to make. At least think about them in July. Because don't be like me, which too often I'm November going, oh my gosh, Christmas is coming. So, you know, start soon. You like to be surrounded by your stuff too? I really do. That's why I always wanted to travel the country in an RV, not hotels, because I want all my stuff with me. Well, let's just say I would be careful not to take too much stuff. So that's where Mark's really good for me. He is so tidy and neat. In fact, one of the problems we've had since oh, you know what? That might have been a brownout. Are you there? Can you see and hear me? Hi, Bonnie. I lost y'all for just a moment. Somebody let me know if I'm still here. But we had everything kind of flashed down and came back. And I'm hoping I'm still here with you. But with this heat, I wouldn't be surprised if we had a brownout. Oh my gosh, yes. Mary, and you know that's probably oh good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I made a quilt for my daughter Oh, thank you, everyone. Um, oh, great, because I mean, it just went whoop, it was gone, and I thought, oh no. But I did a log cabin quilt for my daughter, and it was a wall hangings, little bigger than a wall hanging, almost throw size. And it was a pattern I couldn't find anywhere else. I just happened to see a picture of it. But I got that thing done completely in 2 weeks. So it's part of what wore me out before I got my pneumonia. And that was the easiest thing I had to do, but still, it was a lot of work. So, oh, I'm so glad I'm back here. Well, let's start into the fun because I've got lots of things to show you. And if we finish a little early, then we can all go and rest in the cool and drink some iced tea or lemonade. Okay? All right. First thing is I got a Temu order. And I hope my daughter Katie is not watching this. If Katie, if you're there at any point, don't look. But I ordered these little wooden cutouts, and they are little sheep. Let me show you real quick. And somewhere around, I have some from years ago, project I never finished. But I've got some of that like fluffy fabric that looks like sheep's wool. And I'm going to make Katie a garland of little sheep. So I've got that to work on because I love making things for people. This will be for her Christmas. Love making stuff for people, and I just love making stuff. So it works for me. Then I saw these listed for sale. They were so cheap. They were in the clearance section of Temu, and aren't they sweet looking? They look like they are marquetry, the where you cut in the wood, and they're not, and they come in different colors, but they were like, for 6 of them, like 80 some cents or less than $1. So I said, oh, I'll, instead of making something, I'll just give these to, because every year I give my kids new ornaments for Christmas. I'm not sure if they really think it's a grand idea to get a new ornament for Christmas, but I just found a beading needle. I don't know where it came from. I think the other day I was getting ready to work with a needle and it disappeared. I think I just found it. So then I got some of these stickers and I already cut. Says, life is just better when I'm quilting. These will stick on your drink mug. And I've even put them through the dishwasher and they last a long time. So I'll be putting one of these on. Oh, and it's already pre-cut. I'm just seeing that. That's cool. So I can just, I better be real careful when I cut them out. But I got some Life is Better stickers. And then I'm going to make these into earrings for my daughters and granddaughters. And then, let me put these. I have always wanted these, and I had to wait until I found them cheap enough and the right size. These are pretend Chinese coins. And you know how when you make a collage, like, of just wool or anything, I just love these. And I can use these on garments or art quilts, whatever. I can do that. So I'm excited. They were like 2 something or 3 something. Then I have a couple vases I found. And I got another pack of these. I have some vases that I found that my daughter had brought down, glass, and they're pretty shape. And I've been thinking I would like to do some real mosaics on those. And so I got these. I don't know if you can actually see them. these beads come to, when they get to you, they're smaller than you really thought. Even though I always look for the size. Somehow you think a third of an inch isn't that small. And then I got some of these. So I'm going to be working on these. I'm going to look up what's the best glue to put rhinestones on, to glue rhinestones onto glass. I'll use that. And then, oh, aren't they cute? And then I'll take, and they were $1 or $2, something like that. Very cheap, because that I have the price limit when I go on to Temu. And I'll watch something until it goes on sale. In fact, upstairs, I forgot to bring it, but I bought a new embroidery kit. I think this is my third one I've gotten, so that's it for a while. But I'm buying them kind of for when I travel. It's nice to take something like that to someone's house when you can't use a machine or in the car. And so Temu has had these embroidery kits, and on clearance they're like 280 to 380. And so I got one that has beautiful blues in it, which is my favorite color. So now this is like my third one, but they're just, and I'm not going to get carried away. And one thing Mark and I do, we show each other anything we want to buy and when we get it. And that just kind of helps keep you from getting a little too excited about those good deals. Because you can spend a fortune on good deals. Ask me how I know. No, but I try to always be careful. But I'm also thinking that one day when I get old, sometime in the future, I might not always want to sit at a sewing machine, so I'll have something to keep my hands busy. So that's what I got from my Temu order. And my daughter, who's a high school teacher, I got her a pair of earrings because both my daughters are loving these silly fun earrings. Oh, thank you, Miss Joe. And but I got her this funny earrings that say, "Don't make me use my teacher voice." And so she loved those. So if I can find them for 85 cents or 87 cents or whatever, that's a good deal. All right. So we have been really excelling at how do we eat and cook when it's so blasted hot. And so we've had sub sandwich we make ourselves. We've had hot dogs and chili, which barely need cooking. We're eating a lot of store-bought deli macaroni salad and potato salad. What else have we been having? But we have gotten, one night we had salads and cottage cheese and peaches. So we're, doing everything we can to stay cool and still try to eat somewhat healthy, but not so hot. So, oh, Mark he had made some sauce that he put away a few weeks ago, and that was so good. All we had to do was cook the pasta and just heat up. Thank goodness for microwaves. Heat up the sauce. So, oh, while we're talking about buying things, I wanted to show you, I'm loving this linoprint, or linoprint. I'm not sure still how to pronounce it. Prep block making printing. So, we were putting in an order for Walmart, and I ordered the pastels, print paper, and because the colors were just prettier. Because I'm going to, besides doing the block printing on fabric, and if you do the block printing on fabric, you use acrylic paint plus fabric medium, okay? Then when you do it on block printing, I've done my research and I've done an order, and I can't wait to show you. But I have this. I like printing on cardstock. So I have this. Yeah, they're nice. They're grayed out colors, so they're not too bold. So I bought this, And then from Walmart, I also found U.S. Art Supply. This is slow, dry, acrylic retarder. And wait till you see what that has done to our printmaking. My daughter came over on Wednesday and we got busy. We got really busy printing out some things. She did a carving, and oh, I can't wait to tell you. I don't want to get ahead of myself. But so today I've started a new carving, and I'm going to show you some little basics on carving, and then we'll do some printing. So right now, let me see. I can't wait to show you that. But right now, I just thought I'd show you something. I'm using a new tool, and this is called the Stream Deck. And my son gave this to me for my birthday and Mother's Day. And anytime that I want to change screens, I just now push a button. Instead of having to find my cursor, go to my cursor. In fact, let me show you how easy. So if I want to go to my close-up camera, I hit a button and there I am. If I want to show you show and tell, I hit another button. And then when I come back, there it is. Is that the coolest? So thank you, my son, Christopher. He is really into all of this stuff. He has a studio set up. So that's what he majored in, was studio art. So with his music and stuff. So now, so then my other daughter, I put it back in the package wrong. When I wanted to show you the new toy for the computer. And to do that, I was going to tell you that it was my son's birthday present. And then I felt bad because I didn't want to shortchange my other kids. So I'm going to show you real quick what they got me. And my daughter Becky, who came over the other day, she got me this pattern. And I am going to take and make this so it has lots of sleeves and pages, so that when I go somewhere, I've got all my stuff. Because I've got a new little jazzy. It's kind of small, and I can't wait to make this one. So I've had it on my wish list for a while. Then this is paper piecing. And you might say, well, you know a lot about paper piecing. You can push my buttons. Oh, Marcia, you are very quick. What fun. But it's always good. I'm self-taught. It's always good for me to read the experts. And it has English paper piecing. So I might just get a few ideas from this. So paper piecing book that I've had on my wish list. And this, Art Nouveau Patterns and Designs. And I have a bucket list, quilt list that I want to do. And so, you know what? This is going to help me design my own Art Deco bucket list quilt. I've already got yards and yards and yards of fusible gold color little like bias tape that I'm going to use I'm going to put that a lot in the quilt. So I will be designing that at some point. I'm very excited about that. So that was from Becky. And then let me show you what my daughter Katie got for me. Okay. Look at this. Now, oops, hold on. I still haven't ordered that floor mat, but I wish I could put the lights behind this. But she made this, and it's a frame with chicken wire, and then she bought a collection of beads and made all of these little bead assortments. little bead things and use jump rings to put them on. Let me see if how can I do this? I know. Hold on a second. Pull this lamp out, make sure it's turned up. And then I'm going to turn this way. But it is magical. Now, let me see. Oh, it's still not showing you, and it's upside down. Let me see. Let me see. Ah, no, it's too scary, and I don't want to mess up my. Don't want to mess up that camera. But if you could see this backlit, it is magical. So isn't that neat? She is very much an artist. And so I'm going to hang this on a window. And it is just, I can't imagine the number of hours that took, because she made each of the little bead hangy things, and she just had a whole tray full of beads and matched them just like she wanted. So yes, the sunlight, I don't know where she saw it, but Becky said, oh, I want to make one now. So they're going to be on the lookout for beads. All right, so that's what my kids did. Then on my rose quilt, my little rose quilt that's on canvas, I haven't touched it. I think I haven't touched it in a week. So I did get obsessed with this mosaic quilt. It was one of those that I took a nosedive in. And in fact, I put on a new audiobook called Yesteryear. My daughters recommended it, and I listened to that for almost 6 hours yesterday while I was working on this. And Mark said, you didn't talk at all. I was like, between the audiobook and the mosaics, I was focused. So, okay. So I showed the other ladies the changes I made to the cone parts of these purple coneflowers. So this is going to be the design for all of them. I had 3 more of these. Oh, this is kind of, I think the power grid or something. If we cut out, I'm sorry, we'll see you next Sunday. But see the cone heads for the flowers? That's going to be the design. I took the beads out of the other ones and I'm doing them again. I've got 9 to make, I think. So I'll be busy with that. Okay, I'm going to put this over here. And why don't we go ahead and do the coneflower, show you that, and talk to you about that. And then we'll dive in to learn more about lino or lino block printing. So, okay. Well, I had the pattern. Oh, and I have loaded on our Groups IO, I've loaded the patterns that all have the numbering to make it easier. And I am going to, here all my pieces, miscellaneous fabric with the fusible on the back. And so that part's done. And are you ready? I will show you. I've got all the pieces in place except for the cones on the purple coneflower. Okay, you ready? Here it is. Whoops, let me get it in a better. Am I going the right direction? Yes. So here it is. Now, it still needs a lot. So I'm going to bring it over to the close-up camera. Hopefully I haven't messed up the close-up camera. And let me get a light on over here. Okay, let me get this out of the way. And I'll show you what I've been doing. Okay. All right. So here it is. And this is anytime you rub your hands over your mosaic quilt, look for little areas that might have popped up. If so, it's just too, it would be too hard. See this? I've got this, let me show you. I've got this little square right here that when I ran my hand over it, I felt it and it had come loose. Because remember I told you the fusible is not permanent. Don't get too excited about the fusible. Fusible is really meant to hold it in place until you have a chance to sew it. Now, if you're going to put something on a canvas or something, then as long as it's not moving around and being rubbed and touched, you're usually pretty good. Whoops, I found another one. This one's right up here. But this will happen. Remember I told you if you iron for too long in one place or iron it too many times, that the fusible will actually go into the background fabric and not hold anymore. So that's why you don't trust fusible alone. All right, so here are my flowers. I went back. I remember telling you that I thought these were a little light. So I went back and I put in some more variable colors and some darker, richer colors. Just kind of beefed them up just a little bit. So then I think last week, had I done any of this? I think I had done some of it. I'm not sure. But, oops, I found another one. I'm not going to do this all day because that would be boring to watch, for you to watch me. But use a good glue like a tacky glue. This is not a place for school glue. And then what I did is yesterday I finished all of the stems. I had to cut a few new ones. This is the little bud, and I'll show you later. But all of this is going to need to be stitched down, outlined, thread painted for it to really pop. This is just color blocking. So if you worry that they don't stand out enough, don't worry. We're going to take care of that. But it's just color blocking, trying to show light to dark, using my value ranges and where the sun is lighting these from. And so then down to here. Now, I followed the Golden Threads template. I followed it pretty good until we got close to the bottom. And I had ended up making it a little longer than I thought I would. And so I moved some of these things down. Like this flower was supposed to be right up here. So I moved some of these down. But this did so much work for me in remembering where to place everything. So I'm actually going to save that in case I make another one. But I was working on placing all of these mosaic squares, and I didn't stop to check. I just wanted to get it done. And of course, you always make make your background bigger than you think you are going to need it, because in working with it and quilting it, it will draw up a little. So you always add a couple inches all the way around. Well, I was just going to town, and so I actually came further down here than I had planned, and I left it, I went with it, and I just dropped some of these down a little bit. And then I've got to decide where I'm going to put my butterfly, and I'm thinking he's going to come here. Somewhere I don't know. He's going to be on one of these. And he's going to be a three-dimensional butterfly. And I will show you how I do that. You would love if I held a ruler next to it. Absolutely. Thanks for asking. Okay. So here is a ruler. And you'll see my blocks are right around 5/8 of an inch. But sometimes I altered them a little. But tell me what you would like to do. Yeah. Oh, I love showing y'all this. The more information I give you, the easier it would be for you to make it. So this entire thing is 24 inches wide. Let's see how long it is, because now it's going to stop right down here. And I think I'm going to just border it in black. Just simple border. And do a knife edge binding. So here's 12. And it's 26 inches long. So it's 24 by 26. Okay. Now, this time what I did. Oh, well, thank you. This time what I did is and I'm going to leave the ruler on a little bit longer when I'm not messing with it so you can see it better. This time what I did is I put all the background on first. So there's background underneath these. And I said, I don't want to make the flower blossoms mosaic. It's so choppy when you do that. I know I tried that first, but it just makes it's hard with fabric not to make it look a little messy, and the fabrics tend to want to stretch a little bit. So this year I decided to make it easier on myself and put all the background pieces, put them all over. So, so that's what I did. Then I took and made these patterns from the petals and numbered them. That's why I put that, I put the new ones up on the site with the numbers. And not all the numbers are perfect. There was one flower that was supposed to have a 5 and it didn't. So I just cut out something and did my own. And I did do some filling in here or there if I didn't quite like how it turned out. And like in here, I put a few more petals. This was supposed to be a flower that had gone by and was kind of shriveling up a little bit. But instead, when it came to doing it, it just looked weird. So I just kind of put a few more petals in. The leaves might have done well to be a little bit larger. Some of them I can probably, the ones that show well, I can probably go in and make these a little touch longer, mainly longer. But there were some that I have tucked under these stems. And these stems are about 1/3 of an inch. They vary. And that's just, that's just me. I'm not so strict to the letter. I just kind of, oh, you wish you had done it with the petals over the mosaics? And you can still go back over and do it. I just thought to myself, I don't want lots of little cut up pieces. And this, I love the background. I told y'all I was a little worried, and this didn't quite come out like I planned. I kind of wish I had dropped it down this way, but it is what it is. I guess I could try to go back in and fill it out. But you know what? This is going to be what it is. That's what I'm thinking. But I was worried at first that the background is so vivid and bright. I call it sparkly. I think it's kind of a sparkly background. And I love it though now. And once I outline everything, let me show you. Okay, like I'll bring you over to this. I'll bring you to this one. Once I take and outline everything, And like these. I did research to say, what do those buds look like? But when I come in and I do this, and I'm also going to come in with some ink tints. And I'm going to do some shadowing and kind of define these. But you'll start seeing, and I'm going to, on some things, I will come in and do a little bit of a satin stitch with the machine. But when I come in, oops, I'll have to glue that down again. But when I come in and start defining, and it can be tricky to do, cut some of these little tiny pieces. And honestly, some of these pieces, it's not good enough just to have. This is supposed to be a little bit spiny all around the edge. But when you do this, it will bring it to life. And that makes a huge difference. On the stems, I will come along and outline that with dark. But then I'm going to come and I'm going to sew a light line because I was noticing on the purple coneflower stems, there's like a line to make it a sturdy, it's part of the structure of the stem to make them sturdy. And then I'm going to, it does make a big difference, doesn't it? So then, and you can use Sharpies, but just remember, Sharpies can run into the surrounding fabric just a little. But I'm going to come in, and so I'm going to stitch some lines. See how this fabric had lines in it? That was really cool. But I'm going to come in and do, with a pink thread, do some lines, which the leaves have, the petals have. And then I'm going to come in and use a contrasting green, a slightly contrasting green, not sharp, but like I might use a slightly darker green here and do the veining. And the leaves are kind of textured, so I'm going to work on making that. So all of that's going to happen. Where the leaves are very dark, I'm going to probably come in with a little lighter thread and do the veining. And then the last thing will be, once I have quilted it, once I've stabilized all of these squares, I know I said technically it would have been easier to sew down all of the squares if I had done that before I did the pretty things on. But I'm only human and I couldn't wait to see how it looked with the flowers on it. Now let me bring you over here and show you. Okay. Let me come back to main, then bring the camera over, get it set up. Please, camera, don't go out on me. Okay, let's see. I'm pretty sure it's still there. Let me get my glasses on. I should have, oops, no, I think it came out. So I'm going to rethread this, but I'm going to put this on and show you how I stitch the blocks down. Okay, now I use an invisible thread, and this is the Superior Threads monopoly, but any kind of invisible thread you have will work. And if you have a problem with it wanting to break, try using a top stitch needle, which has a little longer, you know what? Silly me. I forgot to change the detail. Okay, so I have the monopoly in here, and if you have problems with the thread breaking, try putting in a top stitch needle which has a longer thread path right here, and it makes it a little easier on the thread. All right, so I'll put my foot down. You could do zigzag stitch if you want, but I'm just going to use a regular straight stitch. So, and I put a gray in the bobbin, so it would look, if it, you try to keep the bobbin thread from popping up, but in case it did, it would be very neutral. So I'm coming here, and like when I get to this leaf, stitch that down. And then, and honestly, this will not show. It helps if you take clips and clip your quilt with, hold it into a manageable size. Okay, let me see. I'm going to come back this way because I want to show you more about how to get everything stitched down. Yep. It's hard to check and see if you still got the thread, if it's still there. But you just go along each row. Now, then I'm going to go backwards for a minute. And I'm going to come up to this row to show you. Whoops, I'm knocking stuff over here. All right. So then when you're done doing the horizontal rows, oh, this got crooked. When you're done doing the horizontal rows, then come in here and do the vertical rows. And if you do both sides of the vertical rows, then you'll have it, and the only time you can really see it is if you get a shine on it. But that way you'll have each block sewn down, and don't forget all of your flowers need to be sewn down. So just come in. Let me see if I have. Oh, sometimes with this is a polyester. Let me raise the presser foot and pull out enough of a tail so that when it starts sewing, it won't pull out of the needle. Whoops, sorry about that. Okay, so I'll come in here and just go along the edge of your flowers. All right, I guess that's two layers. So you might have to use a jeans needle if you find it gives you any trouble going through all of that. But this is how you make sure that everything is in place. Just go right along the edge both ways and around each piece you put on. And now, knowing that that was tricky and a little bit difficult, let me lift up the presser foot, pull out some more thread. Let me see how these stems do. Okay, so you do pretty good, but you may wish to use, oh, it's doing just fine. This is my Elna, and she is such a good machine. I'm so glad I didn't sell her. Okay, so this is all working well. Now, this is not the quilting. This is just stabilizing. Then once, let me come back to the main camera. How cool is that? Okay, I'm going to turn off the machine because I'm done sewing. But just one more time, if I can show it to you. Whoops, this side out. You know, I used to be better at holding things up to the main camera. But since I have two cameras now, I'm not as good at it anymore. All right, so what, until until next week, I'm going to be working on stitching everything down. If I'm lucky enough to get all the stitching down done, my daughter said, that must take a long time. And I said, well, yeah, but it's kind of mindless. Put on a good book and go with it. I'm going to get all the pieces, everything stitched down. Then I'm going to take and start the thread painting. And that's where I pull out like all my pinks and my greens, and I go and bring it to life. Then I'm going to then take and put the 3 layers. So the front, batting, backing, and then I'm going to do some quilting. And what I'm probably going to do, I'll use a polyester batting. For my art quilts, I usually like polyester because I get more definition. Okay, it's fluffier. Then I will take and go around all of the flowers, the leaves, the stems, and then just do a few across that background. Doesn't need much quilting, but to be a quilt, you have to have the 3 layers and you have to have quilting on it. Then after that, then I will come in and hand applique the little cones. And on the cones, I'm going to have the beaded fabric, batting, and back. So that way, when I hand applique them on, they'll have a puffiness of their own. So then after that, I just take black fabric and I put maybe 2 inches around or 3 inches around all the edge. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to have the border. I better think about that because my backing and batting would have to be bigger and I would add the border first. I think I'm going to put the border on before I do the quilting and make sure to put some quilting on that border. All right. It's always another step. And then when I finish, I'm going to do a knife edge pleat or knife edge fold and stitch it that way. I want it just nice and neat, not too many borders and bindings and stuff. So hopefully that's what will be coming up. It'll probably take me 2 more weeks. Then I forgot this. Let me see if I can come over here to close up and show you. Let me find it's on. Let me find oh, there's my cursor. So I'm going to come over here, bring this up, bring this up. Okay. So let me now come to desktop. Oh, all I have to do is go, ta-da! All right. Here is a great picture that will give you, let me bring it over. This will give you a good view of both the butterfly, and now you'll see why I do the beading the way I do. I used the background fabric, then I used orange bugle beads, and then I used the red beads on the end because I saw this and thought, oh, this is cool. Now what I'm going to do for this butterfly, and I will film this for you or do it in front of you, I'm going to take water-soluble stabilizer, put it in a hoop. Using a Sharpie marker, I will draw the butterfly out, and then using yellows, whites, blacks, and orange, I will make this, try to reproduce this with long stitches on the solvay. Okay? So I will do this with long stitches. And you know what I might? Well, I'm trying to figure out how to do this well. That will be a little tricky. So I'm going to try to figure it out. I'd like to do it all with thread, but I'm going to have to see. It may be better if I did this with Sharpie that showed and then used an acrylic paint pen for the dots. So it just depends on how hard I want to work. But I'm going to do this butterfly And I'm going to do 2 wings. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to do both wings. I'll make the mirror copy of both. And let me come back because I'm going to make a 3-dimensional butterfly. And what you do after you get all the embroidery that you want on it, take it out of the hoop, cut it out, then you gently put it in a little bit of water, have a towel handy. Do not wash out all of the solvay. You wash out probably 50% of it. Leave enough in, because then dry it with the towel best you can, but then take and kind of form it the way you want it to look and let it dry. And that way, I wish I could show you, but they're up on the wall. I have made these 3-dimensional butterflies before, and they're a lot of work, but a lot of fun. And then you take and stitch it to the flower on the quilt, and you have something that kind of comes right out at you. And I love that. Anytime I can play with that 3-dimensionality or have a leaf that goes out of the quilt onto the border, I love that stuff. And people seem to love it too. So this will be, whoops, never mind. There we go. This will be the cherry on top of this quilt sundae, and I can't wait. So between the thread painting, in fact, let me show you. Let me move this down. See how the leaves look striated? So that's where the thread painting is going to come into effect. Let me see if I can find, oops, oh, that's my show and tell for later. Okay, so anyway, let me see, can I go back to, yes, all right, let me see if all right, here we go. Now, it's not going to show the stem, but look, see how the leaves are very, very textural? So that's what, oh, it does show it. See this spine down the stem? So I'm going to take and make a spine down each of my stems. And then, oh, this shows you the striation. You don't have to do too many. In fact, if you do too many, it'll take away from the look. I would say 3 per petal would be fine. And it looks like most of these are darker, so I'll know to use a darker thread. Here is the cone, and this shows the flowers. These have been pollinated, so they've closed, or maybe they haven't been pollinated, or I don't know which way it works. But see these, and you can see the little red tips on them. So that's why I'm trying to do that. And all right, so now I love this push button stuff. Before I would have to take the mouse, and you know I have a trimmer in my good hand. And so I would take the mouse, take the mouse and try to move. First I had to find the cursor, then try to move it to the little box and make the choice. Now I push a button. Thank you, Christopher. This is so cool. This is quite a splurge, and I love him for it. Thank you, Christopher. All right, so that is purple coneflower done. So now let's move on to lino block printing. I love this so much. I'm so glad Mark talked me into buying 2 more 10 packs of the rubber blocks. So here we go. And it's really not expensive if you do it on a budget. And I am going to share that. Oops, where is this showing? Oh, let me see. I don't think I can't get it to zoom in. I was going to see if I could zoom in, but I don't know how to zoom. All righty. Well, we tried. Now, let me put this down and bring over. And I'm really happy that this camera is not acting up. All right, so let me bring over all the goodies. Whoops, I better put this in the basket. And did I tell y'all I broke a beading needle? It's real easy to do, actually. They're so long and thin, and I have big hands and reasonably strong hands. Okay, I've got my paper towels. Let me get my wet wipes over here. Okay, let me get my wet wipes. I've got these because you know I'm messy. You've seen me do it before. I have to remember to get a pad for this table. It's driving me nuts. Okay. I ended up, now, you would think I'd be smarter, but I ended up buying another pack from Temu of the carbon paper. It's no better than the first. So, you really have to push hard. You have to work at it. And I'll go ahead and show you these because I'm so proud of it. My daughter said, when she came over, I said, what kind of craft do you want to do today? Because we love doing crafts together. She said, and she asked for the lino print block. And I was really, she said, when I was in middle school is when I took that in art. And so she said, told me what it was. She said, it's a saguaro cactus with a man sleeping under it in his big sombrero. So I said, we can do that. So I printed out, but she was so good at drawing it. But I went online and found that exact thing block printed. When you, all you have to do is say a block printed image, and it you can pull up just about anything. I'm going to go ahead and put a blade in my knife. Come on. Okay. Come on. I'm not sure. Something kind of came. Let me see. This has this little sleeve on it, on the, oops, okay, see this? And it has this little sleeve. And I thought the sleeve was supposed to be, yeah, I still think it is. So I'm going to put it back in place here. I don't know why it moves around, but I'm not, I have a feeling Mark would know how this is supposed to fit. But let me put this back together. Thank goodness you're on. I happened to glance over to make sure you're still on the camera. Okay, so now put this blade in. Now, you can wear something like these. These are a little cut-proof type, supposedly cut resistant. But I have found that these cheap carving knives, I haven't come near to cutting myself. But anyway, just to go back to my daughter's, she did this and I love it. And I just think it's so, it's just beautiful, just beautiful. And then I did a new one because I love Edgar Allan Poe. So I did the Raven. And trust me, I looked up ideas and did my own version of their ideas. So here is the one. So let me show you. I printed out the inspiration, made, pardon me, made just a few changes. And then I took and outlined it onto the rubber block. This is a piece of rubber, thick rubber. And what you can do, I found, is when you're going to draw it, pin the drawing onto the block with some of your sewing pins. So just like opposite angles or whatever. so you can pin them on so they'll stay in place. And that sure makes things easier. And then get whatever pencil or pen and draw it out. Okay, so that's how I did that. Just giving you those hints. And whatever, if the carbon paper doesn't work good enough, just come back with your pencil and draw back over it. But here it went. Now, once I printed out some things, let me show you. I noticed on one of these prints, let me see, that his eye was getting small. And so what I did then, so you make a test print, okay? You might want to just make the test print on inexpensive paper. Make a test print. And I noticed that these were a little longer than I wanted them to be. And his eye was getting obscured. So I came back in, I dug his eye out bigger and deeper. Because keep it deep if you want it to not have the ink in it. Then I came and kind of took off some of those under feathers that I thought were just a little too obnoxious. But the point being, make a test print on cheap fabric or paper, whichever way you go. And then you can come back and alter the the carving. So, okay. So now let me put the bottom base on this. I've got the most V-shaped of the blades. It's a very sharp V. Okay. I don't know how much. Let's see. It's a very sharp V. And that's wonderful because here is the image, my inspiration image there. And the reason I have the very sharp blade in is because it makes the thinnest of the cuts that you can carve in. And it does have more of an X-Acto type blade that comes with the kit too, but I haven't used that yet. But I come in and carefully score, where this time I'm kind of cutting on the line, okay? Because this is going to be a black figure. Now, if it was opposite, where it had, this was all supposed to be white, and this was supposed to be the black, then you would carve it the opposite way. But this stays where it is because it's going to be black. The eye is carved out because it's supposed to be white. It's all about value, light and dark. And so let me show you this. I'm going to come in here, and this is, okay, this is where if you have this blade, it can come in handy because you can come in here with these triangles. Let me bring you down a little closer. Come in with a triangle. Whoops, yeah, come in with a triangle. And if this was in the handle, it'd be a little easier. But you just come in and you score the edges of the triangles like this. And also another thing that you have to make the decision on, and I'm using this sharp blade because these are small shapes, okay? And this is so easy to cut. I have arthritis, so I worried. But like I say, I'm using that finger cut now, the anti-cut, but I haven't been using up till now, and I haven't cut myself. You just learn to keep your fingers out of the way, and you learn, be good about starting and stopping the knife. Don't let it just go wild. But just come in here, and since you've already scored the edges, it's pretty easy to just go in and just dig out some like that. All right, now here I've already done his back. Let me just show you this real quick. And make sure you don't hold the blade like this. If you hold the blade like this, you go too deep, especially when you're first just scoping out the design and scoring the design. Err on the side of shallow, which means holding it flatter. Okay. Now this, I love the little lines that let you know, yes, this is a block carving. So what I'm going to do is come in here. I want to make these little start and stop lines that come on the outside of this bird. Whoops. Sometimes you have to reach in with your fingernail and pull it out. Let me see if I can cut it on this side and get it out better. Now, I've seen carvers that have some kind of compound that if they cut something out they don't want, they can patch it. They can kind of like fill it in. But see what I'm doing right here? In this case, I'm leaving that line. In this one, I cut it out, but the line's going to be black. And the outline of the bird, and in fact, everything out here is going to be carved away. The background's going to be carved away. Whatever's not black has to be carved away. And what I would do for that then is to use this blade. Whoops, let me get in the camera. This blade, which is much more shallow. So when you use this blade, it'll take out a wider swath more easily. So this is for cutting away large bits. Okay, so with this now, I need to have this here. Then I'm going to leave a little bit of an edge. I'm going to come back and I'm going to carve here between these lines. But leave the lines here. Then I'm going to come this way, take out where the line is just a little interrupted line. And then try to come in here and take out this little, some of these are real close together. So you got to be careful. And the thing is, you could even come back with that scoring piece because you need to really do it a little bit more finely. Okay, so now I'm going to get a little bit of this off there. And you can get to where you lift it up and cut it or just pull it off. It'll go ahead and just break away without ripping out something you don't want. So it's very forgiving. See how I just kind of like pulled it? And it's kind of like cutting on a big eraser is what it reminds you of. So now I come back here, go around this, because this is going to come out. Not these little parts here. They are little pieces. Now here I accidentally cut a little bit of right there. You know what you can do if you cut a little bit more of that and it's still kind of hanging on? Is well, I don't know if I need that. I don't think I really need it. But you can put a little dab of glue and push it back into place. Now, I would try to get a waterproof glue if you want to do that. But for the little bit of printing that I'm going to do with this, I don't think it's that big of a deal. All right, so I'm making this line on the other side of this little white striation. What I'm telling you is, see how this is how this person had it look? And I love that. And what it's supposed to be from lines that you didn't cut deep enough or correctly enough. But I like that. I like to show, yes, this is a print. This is not just something I copied off the computer. I did this. So you have to use this fine tool to get in between all those little lines, and then I come this way and I need to get it cleaned up there and go right down there. Okay. Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep going. Hopefully you can see good. And I'm going to keep going a little bit more, show you how I do a tail feather. And you're going to have all these little white little slivers of rubber. Just clean those up. Okay. So here's the tail feather. Now this is one of those little cute lines again. So I'm going to carefully see how the pressure you put and the angle you cut depends on whether you get a wide line or a narrow line. Now I'm going to come down the center, another narrow line. And what you can do, see how this is nice and deep even though it's not wide? Because what I did is keeping it flat but pushing it down makes a deeper line, but not a wide line, okay? Because I'm keeping it flat, but now let me see if I can make this line a little wider, but keep it flat. Just push it down and you're compressing the rubber, allowing you to cut a deeper line. And that's important because when you go to print it, you don't want it to fill with ink. And this is the same if you want to make prints on fabric, make your own fabric designs, or if you want to make a print onto paper. But here's a tricky thing. It's a very narrow little line, and I want to make it deeper. So pressing the deeper you push, the better, but you still want to keep it narrow, okay? Now, and see, I was able to make this, and these come loose often, so just tighten it back up. But I was able to make it deep, but still keep it narrow. Now, okay, let me just do this little part here. And what keeps it wide or narrow is the angle, the blade first, and then the angle that you, because instead of doing like this, you're going like this. Whoops, we were out of camera range, I think. Okay. So I'm just finishing this little last feather, and then I'm going to show you about the background cutting out. And just remember to hold it pretty flat, but push down, and you'll get a really nice. And then bring your, and if you don't want to cut all the way through to the next cut, just as you're coming, bring the blade up, and when you bring it up like that, it will leave the end of that line. So I'm just loving this. I did this in high school, in a high school art one time, and I loved it then. And so when I saw this, I'm trying to think of where I saw it, but there are even YouTube videos on how to do this. So, okay, let me see. All right, so there are the tail feathers. Now let me switch blades really quickly, and I'll show you how to do the background cutting. I got this nice wide, shallow, wide blade. Let me stick it in there. Crib it down. This is blade number 10. Okay. So what I have to do, since this is going to be white right here around the bird, I have to come in and trim this off. Okay. You can even take this blade and just kind of squeeze it down like that, and that'll cut loose the big piece of rubber. Please do not cut too deeply, If you cut too deeply, it will weaken the, see, I almost started to do too deeply, and that'll weaken this. I love how thick this is, because it makes it so much easier to print with. It's more firm. So you want to cut a little bit deep, but not too deep, like half, not even maybe quite halfway. And these rubber blocks are about 1/4 of an inch thick. I'm gonna make this cut carefully so I don't go too deep and cut like that. But now you can see by looking at these cuts, you see why that you'll have these really cute little lines in it that show it's a print. And you'll see why, because you cut these little bits at a time. And if you're not careful, you'll leave lines that are big enough to show. Now, one thing Becky and I loved, and this stamp does it really well, is leaving a little bit of a framed edge. Even if it's just coming in and going like this, and just doing a little, like this will be a little grass design maybe. I even thought he could be perched on a branch this way and leave a little bit of that edge on there to have a print. So it shows a little bit of a branch like this. And then maybe it would come up this way and this way. All right. But cutting out the background is really important, because what makes the print is the juxtaposition between dark and light. And that's what makes the interest. And if you want to leave a few cut marks along the way, that's absolutely fine. It's up to the person. And for me, I love seeing just a few of those little cut lines. Let me show you Becky's again. But even with this, I tried to leave a little bit of a border. I like that better, but it's up to you. Where's Becky's sombrero? There it is. She did cut line around the edge to give it. And now she didn't do these lines definitely in the beginning, but then she took and just kind of rolled the ink onto them. I made sure to roll the brayer this way to get those edges that were a little deeper, but that way they showed. And depending on how you push the paper, onto the stamp, it will show. But we talked about it. We like this showing. All right, so I'm thinking hopefully I've shown you enough of how you maneuver this, do this. And, straight lines can be a little easier than curved. I like this bird for a starter because he's mostly black. So you take away anything you want to stay white. Now let's say that you wanted to do 2 or 3 color printing. All right, let's say here is my sunflower. You want these petals to be yellow. Well, guess what? You have to do a stamp with just these parts that you want to be yellow. If you want this to be a dark brown, you have to do a stamp of just this. Now, what I would do is take one of these pieces and I would cut it into the size just to do the part you want. If you want these leaves to be green, you have to make a stamp just with the leaves, not with any of this, just the leaves, and then maybe the stem. This part would be green, but all the rest, this edge and everything would be gone. This one, you would just have the outer ring, of petals. So when you think of, oh, I want to do two-color printing, just remember you probably should do a stamp for each color, because I'm not sure how you could put on ink on just these. You may be able to brush it on, but then to line it up, that's going to be tricky. Now, some people do an offset just to, just because they like that look. So if you didn't line it up perfectly, that would be the way they'd like it. Oh, in fact, I need to finish with these dots right here. I just need to come in like that, because you want the spaces. You only get those dots if you have white space in between them. But are there any questions that you have that, thank you. Oh, who loves the Raven? Bonnie. Yeah, isn't that? Oh, yes, Bonnie, you would love that because of Raven. Ravencroft? I'm trying to remember. Oh, that is cool. Maybe, Bonnie, I can make you, if you know of an image you'd like, I'll try to make you a stamp, and that way you can, you know, have these to do. So anyway, here, so hopefully I've explained it to you. Like I said, don't cut out too much. Don't cut too deeply. Just deeply enough that if you don't want any black on it, it won't reach. Because when you roll the brayer over top this, it has to be deep enough that the brayer doesn't touch it. And that's the good thing for a brayer. And brayers are pretty cheap. In fact, I've got to find my brayer that's all wood, because that would be wonderful for when you put this on fabric or paper. Having a wooden brayer that you haven't used paint on would be perfect for rolling it to make sure you get good contact. So this is how you do the cutting. I've done these lines here. Now I found it was easier when I was doing these lines. I did all these first and then came back and did these next, just to try to, keep it kind of careful and make sure you cut his eye deep enough that you don't get ink down there, so you get a nice clean eye that shows. All right, so this, unless you have any questions, did multicolor, couldn't you just cover the parts you didn't want to be one color? Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how, well, the problem is whatever you cover with and you're trying to use the brayer, I think it would run over. It would get on what you covered it, although if you took that off, I don't know. I think it's worth trying, Bonnie. Maybe putting like a masking tape or painter's tape on it and then peeling it off once you had the paint where you wanted it. You could try that. So, okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we actually print it. So I'm going to use my Raven. I might do 3 different prints. Okay, now, did I save any paper down here? Yeah. I'm just going to print these right now on regular paper, except for the Raven. I do have a piece of paper. And what I'm going to do is fold this in half like it's going to be a card. And that's the hard part sometimes, is getting it centered. But okay, so now what I have here is I have some black acrylic paint. Let me bring this up so you can see. I have black acrylic paint. I have my acrylic sheet right here. And what did I do with my silicone mat? I might not have brought it back in. Darn. Okay. Well, I'll have to be a little careful. My poor ironing board. But this is the acrylic sheet. Now, I take and shake the paint really good so you get all the pigment that you want. Okay. And then I'm going to put about a 50-50 mix of paint and let me see what I know what I have. I've got a big wad of paper towels. Let me move these out of the way. I have a piece of poster board. Oh, here we go. I have a piece of cardboard that I can use to protect my work area. Okay. And I'll put these here. Now, let me get out a couple of these because I will need them. I am messy. And that's part of the fun of it for me. If I had to be all careful, that might not be fun. All right. So, I may put a little bit more paint in. Okay. Then I get the extender. Top is missing. I put the extender in and put about 50% of the extender. Okay, and put that in a safe place. I don't know what I did with that top. Huh, okay. All right. Good, safe place. I'm going to put it here in the box that Miss Lisa gave me. Now I'm going to take, I like to stir with a paintbrush. And this is just a cheap old paintbrush. So at one time I did a video and she was like, oh, don't ever stir with a paintbrush. But I can if I want to. You're not the boss of me. But this is a cheap old paintbrush and it is fine. You can see it's not good for much else. I'm gonna wipe the excess off just so keep the spillage down to minimum. All right, now I'm going to do my raven stamp. Let me put these blades up. I shouldn't leave those sitting around. I might get my first cut that way if I did. So let me. It's hard to get this bottom off of here. It has a slight indentation, but I found that after having that pneumonia, my fingernails break so easily. And I happened to see in a medical article, and it said, you know, things to watch out for with your nails. One of them that said if they're real brittle, it could be from having a significant illness like pneumonia. And I said, me? That's me. So anyway, okay. So now I'm going to have a scrap of paper handy for some of these. Okay. And here's my purple card that I'm going to print this on because I thought purple would be a cool color for a raven. So what I'm going to do now is, making sure it stays mixed. I'm going to pour some of this here. And Mark had to loosen my brayer. It was rolling too tight. So now, oh, it's rolling really, really good. So you just roll and get the brayer completely covered. Make sure you've gone around the whole brayer several times. Now take and roll this across what you've carved. See how making his eye deeper really helped? Now, sometimes I'm going to warn you about something too. And I went back in and cut more space in the moon because I thought the moon was too dark before. But make sure you go over it enough to get enough paint where you want it. Okay. And if it's not getting in a certain place, you might have to roll the paint on a little firmer. Okay. Now I'm going to, away from that, I'm going to come and try to center this on the card. Place this on. And I am going to, I've asked Mark to make me something where I can print these where it will center it for me. I'll have to show you what that is, but it'll just help it stay in place. And I'm going to get a wooden block and put a little short handle on it. There it is. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. And I love that purple color. My daughter told me a cute thing. I told her about making the beak, and she said, the saying is, a crow is a bird with a beak. A raven is a beak with a bird. So I thought that was cute, but I love Edgar Allan Poe, and I wanted to do a raven. So see how much better the printing works now that you add that, where is it again? Oh, that's right, it's over here. The slow dry acrylic retarder. Slow dry acrylic retarder. And it's made to make acrylic paint dry more slowly. So now what I'm going to do, keep this from, and I want to show you where I cut more out of the moon. Where are the other ones? Here they are. See how the moon, see how the moon looked too dark? I like it better now because I wanted it to be a moon, not, I don't know what that is. And you set this somewhere to dry because it's got the retarder in it. It might take, 10, 15 minutes to really dry. Okay. All right. So now what I'm going to do is lay one of these wet wipes on this until I can get it washed. Move that out of the way. And I'm going to come in here and let's do, since we're kind of having a purple coneflower type day anyway, let's come in here. Whoops. I let my paper towel get into the ink. This ink will stay wet for quite a while. I did it on cookie trays covered with some aluminum foil when my daughter was here. And I like that because I had one tray for drying, one tray for doing the rolling of the ink and the printmaking. Make sure you get plenty of ink on there. And see, I kind of sometimes do it this way to get some of the outer lines that I want to have show up. So I just tilt the brayer or go the opposite way to pick up some of those lines around the edge. And now you can really, by having that extender in the paint, you have more time to get the stamp just like you want it. So it was so funny because last week I was trying to make the paint dry a little bit, thinking that's what it needed. And really, it needed to stay wetter longer. All right, so now I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it on what would be the front of the card. Try to line it up. But we can put markings of what size paper or fabric where I want it printed. And it'll help when I have my piece of wood with the handle that you can kind of burnish it to make sure you've got it printed. Okay, let's see how we did. There, much better. See how much sharper the print came out? This is, yeah, I think you're right about the curved. I was worried it had too much of a curve, but anyway, but see now we've got it down. And I wonder, I could probably use a little, well, I could probably use a little bit of this extender when I print on fabric, even though I'm using the medium. Although I think the medium might help it to already do that. But this is my purple coneflower. Then we'll do one more. Let me get out a piece of yellow print stock. But this is one of the reasons that this is not just a quilt show, because there's so many. I mean, this can help quilts. Okay. Now I'll put those two together so that they um, won't dry too fast. Because I like to take them in, put a little Dawn dish soap, little cool to light warm water. And so now I have these two that we've printed today. But I'm going to make my own note cards. I think this is such a neat thing to do. And I'm thinking, what could I do for a Christmas card? Maybe a carved poinsettia. So, okay, so now I've got my yellow. Now I'm going to get this little puppy. And now Bonnie's got me thinking about how could I mask off part of this to do a multicolor. That's pretty cool to think about. And I did see on Temu, they don't have any more of those $15 kits that I first bought that had 12 of these rubber blocks and had the cutting knife. They don't have any more that I'm seeing, and it frustrates me because when I show you something, you might want to go get one. Now, I did see one for $23, but I think it had 10 blocks, a cutter. It might have had something. Sometimes they include a brayer or a little thing of ink. Oh, and this is why I forgot to tell you why I bought the extender to use the acrylic paint. I can get that whole bottle of acrylic paint for $2.50 from Walmart. And this is an 8-ounce bottle. Well, the acrylic inks for a little tube is $9 and something. And I thought, I can't justify that. And I have a mess of, I'm going to make sure I keep this card out of that ink. I have a mess of acrylic paints. I've had them for years and I can use them. And all I needed was a $5.99 bottle of extender. So, making sure I've got it pressed. Oh, you mean the miniature house? Because our Polly, I don't know if you're talking, Polly does the dioramas and she's, oh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? That is good enough, right like that, to be a note card. I absolutely love that. I might trim it down on my paper trimmer and make my own. If I don't have the size envelope, I'll make my own out of a sheet of printer paper. And there we are. But I love this so much. Okay, so now let me put this with the others, and that is our printing for today. We'll go to our, and I'm going to keep these sheets on it. And you could use like a medical cheap surgical glove on this to keep your hands clean. But what the heck? It comes off so easy. It's not, you know, the big bad ink. All right. So I'll put this aside. and put all of my cards aside. Get my cards on this. Oh, that'll have to be washed. That paintbrush will have to be washed. And okay. So here are today's. Now I noticed that on the, here are today's artwork. Works of art today. This is what we've printed today. And I'm happy now. I'm happy. Isn't that cool? And yet, you know what? You mentioned bookstore. I got a little piece of black on this, but that's okay. That's okay. I can always trim it off. Oh, that's right. This is the scrap paper. So this is not a finished. But you could even do journals. Do journal covers. Do greeting cards. Do a piece of work that you want to frame. You know, you could do all of that. All right. Now you see why I have to put new covers on this often. But okay, good enough for now. Let's get to, first come back to main. Hello. And turn off these excess lights. Don't need any more heat in this room than we've got now. Good. My ink lid was put on. You notice I do these things. I don't mean to be rude to you, but I do these things because I will forget. So anyway, okay. I'm going to be cleaning this room very soon, and I think I've decided to film it for you and do one of those where they speed it up and it goes from a mess to perfection in just, a few minutes. But I'm thinking I can't be the only one who has trouble keeping a room clean. There must be others out there. What do you think? Yes, I clean the stamps. Thank you. Hi, Saddlebags. I clean the stamps right away. I will clean the acrylic. I'll clean all of it unless I'm going to print some more. Now, I don't know if I'm going to go upstairs and do some more printing, but I wash it all. I wash the stamps because I don't want the paint to get into the divots and dry, because then after enough printings, you lose the definition. So, and sometimes I'll use a little fingernail brush, or a soft bristled something, toothbrush would work. And I've got extras upstairs. So you could use a toothbrush and just be careful, don't hurt the rubber, but keep it clean, keep all the carving good. And then you can use it as long as you want. I mean, it'll last a good long while. But if you let the paint dry in the little grooves, you're going to lose all that carving work you did. But if you have more, like I bought, I said, Mark, I'm almost out of my 12. And could and I'm noticing all of a sudden these rubber blocks are becoming sold out. And so I found a seller for $10 for 10, which, as long as I pay around $1 per rubber block, I'm happy. And he said, get 2. And I'm so glad he did, because now that's sold out. So I'm hoping they'll get more in, and that's the problem. But be careful where you look, because the price can vary on these supplies outrageously. I think there's some reasonable kits on Amazon. So, and if you have $35 on Amazon, you don't have to pay shipping. With Temu, if it's from the Temu warehouses, as long as you have $20, it's no shipping. If it's a local vendor, it's $2.99. but that's better than $6.99 for Amazon if you don't have the right amount. And I found the extender. I found that at Walmart for $5.99. Good price. And I've done 2 sessions of printing, and that's all I've used. So, and this is 4 fluid ounces. So, but when I looked at just getting tubes of 1.5 ounces, tubes of 4 colors, it was $20, the cheapest of the printing ink. 6 is 25, and and those are just little tubes. I was like, nope, there's got to be a better way. So I just went to the Google machine and I typed in, is there a way to use acrylic paint and turn it into printer ink? And they said, these are some things that will really help. And I said, my price. Now, if I was some professional artistic printer, but I'm just Deb, just give me it cheap. All right, let's go to, let's go to photos. All right, I can get rid of this. Just get the cursor. There's the cursor. Whoops. Okay. All right. So now I can go to show and tell. Let's see. All right. I think today, I'm pretty sure we have Bonnie, Debbie, and some from me. If anybody else sent me fabric or pictures of your work, I apologize. Let me write my address down here real quick, my email address, and it's our time to, whoops, I forgot. I've got to click on, I love that finger pointer too. It's the cutest thing. Okay, our time to quilt, and that's at gmail.com. All right, so if you want to send pictures to me, ask questions, if you want to join our free groups IO, that's how you reach me. And I was so excited. I had a pattern request from Gisela from Sweden. I'm so excited. I love meeting people from all over the world. It's a big world full of wonderful, talented, kind people, and I'm glad to meet them. Here is Bonnie's. Look at this. This woman is quite, how do I want to say this? I love that she takes the time in everything she makes, to make sure she has the right layout of colors. I mean, that is so smart. So she's pinned them on her design wall, and then she'll sew them together. And look at this that she's done. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't even show it to you. I forgot to. Okay. Well, the buttons didn't help me. I forgot to put this over. So here we go. All right. Let me bring it bigger. This is, look at this wonderful. They're like hexagons, but they have a fabric on the top. I mean, that is just beautiful. So that is wonderful. Now let me go back with this. Here is what I was trying to tell y'all about, that unfortunately I didn't have it up for you. Okay, Debbie, I'm not sure. Maybe a Christmas one sometime. Oh, okay. And I did get some pictures from Debbie. Yes. Quilt crazy. No, you're a very talented, meticulous. She's very intelligent person. And so she really puts thought into her quilt. But look at this. I mean, that is wonderful. So then here is, and this must be applique on top of a white hexagon. I mean, it is gorgeous. Dan bought her this comb. She does reenactments. And so they went to I don't know if it was a reenactment or what, and they had some vendors, and he bought that for it. It's so pretty. And then let me see if I can get this bigger. She made these, I think they're called tabards, and they are kind of like a one piece, or like an apron you would put over your outfit, and this is a raven on them. And she made those for people in her group. That is really nice. So her and Dan, I think he helped contribute to the funds. So let's see. Now here is Debbie. Oh, your hand sewing. Oh, that's, you know what? That's what I love to do too. I'll put on some of these quilters and just listen, and it's wonderful. Okay, then here is while you're hand quilting. Look at Debbie's quilt. I showed you these last week, I think, but I opened her email and went, oh, I'm in love. This is so pretty. Tabards, good, 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 good. Know them better, yeah. Crusades with the cross on it. That's right. Oh, wow. That is so cool. No, she does Renaissance type era. Before my time. I did 17th century, but she's probably more like 15th century, you know. So, anyway, but look at this quilt. When I saw it, I just, I love French general, anything like that. Wonderful. Medieval. That's right. And so she goes back farther than I understand. But isn't this beautiful of Debbie's that she made? It is. I thought, oh, that's so pretty. Then I opened her next email, and here was this guy. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding, Debbie, way to go. So, I mean, she makes me look like I'm standing still. This is wonderful. And I love the fact that these dotted fabrics give so much texture to this wonderful pelican. I love the water below. So Debbie, you outdid yourself, girlfriend. Now, if anybody thinks that they sent me a picture, let me know. I don't think I have any new ones from anybody. Now Miss Mary did send a wonderful of her plants, which I can look at Miss Mary's plants all day, caladiums, ferns, petunias, and this one I used to call it Million Bells, but I think it's got a different name. It's beautiful. And then I still don't know what this one over here is, but isn't that beautiful? But Miss Mary does quite a beautiful job with her plants. So excellent. Yeah, she did do excellent feathers. That's wonderful. I can't imagine doing sit down quilting. I know there are people out there who do, but it would just, it would, I think it would scare me a little bit. Now, I have a little folder, and I'd love to say, oh, it's all my stuff, but it's not. Um, okay, let's see. This actually is mine. It's from a pot on the front porch. I'll just go through them. Okay. This is a fern. Oh, twice as. Oh my gosh, you'll have to take a new picture, darling. And this is a picture my Katie sent to me. They had a terrible storm go through the eastern shore last night, and the wind was out of control. So she wanted to bring in her fern, and she realized it had a nest in it, and these are the eggs that are in that fern. She brought it in, went to go bring it in, and the eggs had hatched. So she had hatchlings in the nest. But she still brought it in because she said, if I leave that plant out, the nest will be destroyed. And I don't know if y'all know this, but I mean, a bird can't get a newborn baby, back up into the nest. So she brought them in for the night and then put them back out first thing this morning. So here is my daughter is into pottery. She throws pottery, something I always wanted to do, and I'm so glad she's doing it. So here is this. A beautiful mug she made. I love that she's doing the carving in the different colors. Here are the little hatchlings that she brought in. Are they the cutest little things? Looks like 4 hatched. That's pretty good. And oh, this is a picture I took of Gromit, and he is my amazing dog. He's going in Tuesday for a dental. He's 14 years old. He always is under my desk anytime I sew, and he is my shadow. He's with me everywhere. He's learned to at least sit outside the bathroom door, but I had a good picture of him, so I thought, I want to show him. But Gromit from the British show Wallace and Gromit. And Mark thought of that name, and I fell in love with it. So let me see. I'm trying to read up. She's looking to make sure that the parents have come back to the let me see. Yeah, she said she's an Eastern Phoebe. Oh, I love Phoebes. Phoebes. So those babies are Phoebes. And they're named that because their sound is Phoebe. Phoebe. I forget exactly how they say it, but they make the. This is my daughter Katie's garden on the Eastern Shore. Oh my gosh, it is beautiful. I don't know. She works a full-time job. She has a flock of sheep and a goat and a mess of chickens. I don't know how she does all of this. Look at this. Isn't that amazing? So she is an amazing, amazing gardener. Oh, she's got a sprinkler on a stand. I love that. Because, once you start getting tall plants, how do you water them? This is my little rose bush out front. Here, I wanted to show you how big my garden plants had grown, the ones out on the deck. These tomato plants now are getting close to 5 feet tall. So things are doing pretty good. It's been really hot to go out and water them, but I love them so much. And then this is my Katie, my daughter's garden again. She's got flower beds, cosmos, zinnias. These look like hollyhock. I'm not sure. She told me she has gladiolas too. I'm not sure where they are planted. Look at this mug she made. Is that exquisite? And I love the crackle paint. But isn't that, looks like a gardenia, or it might be a peony. That is just beautiful. Beautiful. I mean, camellia or peony, not gardenia. Okay, next. Look at her zucchini plant. And actually, it might be a yellow squash plant. I'm not sure. It is huge. But usually when I see leaves this big, that's zucchini. But isn't that something? And then this is my plant on the front porch. It's getting so big now. It's unbelievable. Oh, I bet you they were in the back row. And then I started, and see if you can figure out what these are. Take care, Miss Bonnie. You're a sweetheart. I started some plants, and I'll give you a hint because I have mentioned this type of flower all day long. I actually started my own purple coneflowers. They're so expensive to buy. So I said for the pack of seeds, and I'm going to give some of these to my Katie. So they're on the front porch right now. I took this today, and they're just starting to get their first true leaves. And so I will grow them carefully through the summer and then plant them in the fall for next year. This is one of Katie's gladiolas, and look at that big old bumblebee in there. He is happy. Isn't that a great picture? Then she's having some really interesting cucumbers. They're Siamese cucumbers, or conjoined. the quilt pattern is Wishy-Washy Copper Kettle Quilts fabric was Joy de Vivre. Oh, Joie de Vivre. Okay, so, oh, it's got that French flair. Thank you for putting that on there. So that Debbie quilted is so exquisite. It's Wishy-Washy Copper Kettle Quilts. And the fabric is Joie de Vivre. That's wonderful. Joy of life. Very good. Okay, now here's another view of her garden. Oh my goodness gracious. Isn't that, these look like potatoes in here. It's just, her tomatoes are incredible. There's her beans. She's something else. And I think she has pretty good. Here is her shelf at where she takes her pottery classes. So she's waiting for these to be ready to do something too. I love it. Looks like her bunny lost a foot or an ear. Okay, now let's see. What's next? No, I think we're done. All right, that's it for me. And look at how fast I'm getting better. I'm still talking nice and strong, and it's been over 2 hours. Let me come back to main. There I am. I'm loving this push button thing. This is so cool. Okay, thank you for putting that quilt pattern in fabric, because that is a keeper. It's stunning. Stunning. So, all right. I hope you have a good week, and everybody take such good care of yourself. Please stay cool. It's getting very cloudy here, so let's hope for rain. But thank you for spending this time with me. I told Mark I'm so lucky to be doing this because I have a deadline, I have a reason to create and find things. Oh boy, I found a new project for us for later this month. You're going to love it, and anybody can do it, even if you just sew by hand. Okay, so that will be coming up. But thank you from the bottom of my heart for being part of my family, my group of friends, we're a community, and thank you. Thank you for making this such a special community. And it was wonderful to see saddlebags. I don't know if they're a horse lover, but welcome. And it was nice. I thought I was looking to see if there was one of our others who we've been seeing lately. But thank you so much. And yeah, thank you for Miss Joe for reminding you to hit like. Please subscribe. You can hit the bell so you'll know when I've got something new coming out. But thank you for spending this time with me today. You are the best. All right, everybody. Take good care of yourself. Bye-bye. See you next week.